The winter of the 1940s didn't care about comfort. It didn't care about shortages. And it definitely didn't care about excuses. Coal was rationed. Electricity was unreliable. Fuel oil was locked behind war priorities. Yet somehow, in the middle of blackouts and freezing nights, entire homes stayed warm. Not with modern heaters, not with electric systems, but with a brutally simple radiator hack that turned ordinary hot water into a whole-house heating network. No plugs, no switches, no mercy on the cold. And once you understand it, you'll never look at an old radiator the same way again. The boiler was always the lowest point in the house. Radiators were always higher. That vertical difference created the pressure. Not mechanical pressure, thermal pressure. Heat itself became the engine. Once the fire was lit, circulation happened automatically. You could lose every light in the house and still sit in a warm living room while snow stacked against the windows. Here's where the real hack comes in. Families learned that a radiator didn't just heat a room, it could move heat. People began placing radiators deliberately in hallways, near staircases and at the base of stairwells. Heat from those units didn't stay put. It climbed. Warm air rolled up the stairs, spilled across upper floors, and filled bedrooms that had no direct heat source. Some homes even left stairwell doors open on purpose, turning the staircase into a vertical heat tunnel. One hot radiator downstairs could help warm half the house. Others took it further. Metal heat deflectors were mounted behind radiators to bounce warmth away from cold exterior walls and back into rooms. Shelves were installed above them to catch rising heat and push it forward. Thick curtains were hung at doorways to trap warmth in living spaces, while unused rooms were closed off completely. This wasn't comfort. This was heat warfare. During the war, the kitchen stove often became the heart of the heating system. In many homes, a water coil was installed directly inside the stove or wrapped around the firebox. When meals were cooked, water inside the coil heated automatically. That hot water rose into a storage tank or directly into radiators. So every pot of soup, every loaf of bread, every kettle boiled was also warming bedrooms and hallways. No separate fuel, no extra fire. Cooking fed the house with heat. In some setups, the stove alone could keep a small home livable. A single fire did triple duty. Food, hot water, whole house warmth. When fuel was scarce, this mattered. Those old radiators were monsters. Hundreds of pounds of iron bolted to the floor. That weight wasn't excess. It was a battery. Cast iron absorbs massive amounts of heat. Once hot, it releases that heat slowly for hours. Even after the fire burned low, radiators stayed warm. Rooms cooled gradually, instead of crashing into cold. Families learned to exploit this. Fires were fed hard in the evening, radiators soaked it up. Overnight, as flames died, iron carried the warmth forward, bleeding heat into rooms until morning. It was primitive, it was brilliant, and it worked. There were no thermostats back then, no digital panels either. All the control, well, it came from where you place things, how you manage airflow, and honestly, a fair bit of timing. Radiator valves were adjusted by hand, you know. Curtains, they were opened and closed, just like climate controls today. Doors, well, they became temperature gates. Rugs, they trapped warmth in the living areas, and bare floors were left in the hallways to slow heat loss where it didn't matter much. Some families, they even placed metal trays of water on radiators. As the water evaporated, it increased humidity, making rooms feel just a bit warmer, and really, it helped take the sting out of that dry winter air. Every house, you see, developed its own heating rhythm. When to feed the fire, when to shut the doors, and when to let the heat climb. Everyone had their own way. It was knowledge passed quietly, room to room, winter to winter. That's why this system, well, it just refused to fail. The genius of the 1940s radiator hack was its refusal to depend on anything fragile. No electricity meant no grid failures. No motors meant nothing to burn out. Gravity never went on strike. Hot water never forgot how to rise. As long as there was something to burn, the house could be heated. Coal, wood, coke, even scrap briquettes pressed from dust. That's why hospitals, schools, and military housing loved these systems. They were slow, they were heavy, but they were loyal. In wartime, loyalty mattered more than efficiency. Today, heating is invisible, silent, disposable. When the power dies, warmth often dies with it. The 1940s radiator hack didn't just heat homes. It taught people how heat behaves, where it wants to go, how to guide it, how to trap it, how to stretch it. Homes were not just shelters. They were thermal machines, tuned by human hands. And in a world rationed by war, that knowledge kept children from freezing, elders from failing, and families from abandoning their homes. Not bad for a system with zero electricity. This isn't nostalgia. This is intelligence from an age when survival demanded understanding. When comfort was engineered, not purchased. When warmth was a craft. And it's exactly the kind of forgotten ingenuity hidden son. Xerisexon. Tondert and Hornsut. Chefuse. Who's the sound? Disciplined cinders. If this story sparked something, if it gave you a new respect for the past and the people who outsmarted it, make sure you subscribe to Hidden Histories WWII. Share this with someone who loves untold history and keep these quiet victories alive. Because the greatest weapons of the war were not always made of steel. Sometimes they were made of heat.